Hello, everyone. Good morning, dear authors and invited guests. Welcome to the technical session 6B. Myself, Aarti Mohan, and this session would be moderated by me. On behalf of Global Knowledge Research Foundation, it's my great pleasure to welcome you all to the 9th International Congress on Information and Communication Technology ICICT 2024, London, UK. The 9th edition of the conference is being held in a hybrid mode, and the virtual event is being held through Zoom today, that is 22nd February 2024. I hope you all will be enjoying this knowledgeable and interactive session throughout the day. In this session, we have 6 presentations. Each presenter will be given 12 minutes for the presentation and 2 minutes for the question and answer session round. On 10 minutes, I'll raise a gentle reminder. There's another request to all the participants to stay connected with us till the closing remarks. If you have any sort of query or update, you can write it to me in the chat box. Just before we get started, I would like to introduce you to the session chair who would be chairing the session. Professor Richard Apau. Professor Richard Apau is a cybersecurity, digital forensics, and data analysis professional with over 10 years of experience in researching, teaching, consulting, and implementing projects within the information technology landscape. His publications have been appeared in Elsevier, Sage, Springer Nature, Taylor and Francis, Emerald, IGI Global, ACM, IEEE journals, and other high impact factor journals. This session would be also chaired by Assistant Professor Roxana Banu. She is an experienced assistant professor with a demonstrated history of working in the education field with over 25 years of experience. She is skilled in lecturing, research, human resources, leadership, development, and higher education. She is a strong education professional with a PhD focused in management from UTM. It's a pleasure to welcome you, sir and ma'am, to have you on board with us to chair the session. It's an immense pleasure to welcome you.
Thank you.
Ma'am, if you would like to add any further introduction about you, you may please proceed with the same.
Thank you, dear. Thank you so much. I think you have given much in brief. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. So moving on to our presentation. I would like to invite Murad to present his paper on design of a blockchain-based organ donation and transplantation management framework. Dear presenter, could you please proceed with your presentation?
Thank you for giving me the chance. Let me clear the screen. Oh, you see the screen and you hear my voice clearly, right?
Can hear you and we can also see the screen. You may please proceed.
Okay, thank you. Again, hello everyone. I'm Murat Osmanoğlu from Ankara University and from Ankara University, Turkey, and I will present our study design of a blockchain-based organ donation and transplantation management framework. It's a joint work with Murat Karakuş, Bülent Tuğrul, and Salih Temir. I say you can consider this one as an initial work for an ongoing project. So it's a primitive version of our framework. When we decided to work on this topic, we first realized that we need to understand the concepts or components of this system, and we need to understand how these components interact with each other, and we need to understand actually what the requirements this system need. So while handling this process, we realize we can use SysML, system modeling language, as a tool to deeply understand what I count here. Then we try to model our system, our framework using SysML. What is SysML? You can consider SysML as an extension of UML or adaptation of UML to engineering problems. It provides user with various diagrams to design and analyze a system. These modeling language particularly enabling us to examine our system in details and to find the answer to the question you see here. So we use blockchain from title, as you understand, to build our system. Maybe briefly I can explain what the blockchain is and design. You see the diagram here, briefly explain how the blockchain works. You can consider blockchain as a database. Actually, it allows us, or it allows a network of users to maintain a distributed ledger. And here, each user in the network has a copy of this ledger, and they share transaction in this network, and periodically user collect all the transactions sharing this network and put them in one particular block, and all of them append this block, this newly created block, to the chain of the blocks using or executing some consensus mechanism. And while appending the block to the chains, actually to the chain of the blocks, they use some cryptographic hash function. This cryptographic hash function allowing the user to create some immutable history of records. And with respect to permission given to the user for the certain action in blockchain, we can categorize blockchain under two titles, permission and permissionless. This is also important at this point. In permissionless setting, anyone in the network can access all the transaction, and anyone in the network, in this network, particular network, can create transaction and can be part of the consensus mechanism executed by the user of this network. On the other hand, in permission setting, you need to provide some certificate or some document to some guy, we call it registration authority, to be able to register in the system. And certain action may be restricted to certain user in this particular setting. And we use permission blockchain to build our framework, say. And as I told you, we use a SysML diagram to be able to understand the components of our system and how they interact with each other. And maybe at the last part of my presentation, I also try to give you the requirements that our system needs. So here, as you see, our system organ donation platform contains the 6 modules. These are registration module, organ matching module, organ transplantation module, post-transplantation module, data recording module, and at the center, as you see, system module or system user module. Sorry. Let me briefly explain each of them. I don't have enough time, I know. For the user module, we specify, as you see here, as you see here, for the system user, the module, we specify 6 different roles: donor, recipient, surgeon, doctor, administrator, and transplantation committee. Here, maybe I need to explain what is an administrator and what they do in our system. Administrator can be considered as officer representing some medical institution in the system. So this institution can be hospital or health directorates or health associate or some representative from governments. That could be that one also. And they manage the registration process. Then they also maintain the platform. Okay, and they are also responsible for choosing the committee member for transplantation committee. So I need to I need to state that one at this point. Our system allows administrator to form different committees for different region or different organs to improve the efficiency and functionality of the system. In the registration model, as you see here, when a doctor or surgeon wants to join the system, first they need to they need to first, of course, communicate with some administrator, and they need to provide some certificate. This certificate proves he is qualified, or the guy actually sending this request qualify for the profession he claims. And when certificate is valid, administrator approves the registration and inform the network about it through this registration module also. When a donor or the recipient system, she sends a registration request similarly, and administrator at this point first appoints a doctor to that particular requester, and this doctor examines the medical condition of the requester in order to ensure he is suitable for organ donation. Then the doctor sends the examination result to the relevant transplantation committee, and the committee evaluate the applicants or requester, say, and if the committee approves the applicant, then the corresponding administrator accept the registration and inform the network about it. Since the medical institution, this part important, since the medical institution have more significant influence on the decision-making process in our system, we need to be careful while designing registration process of such institution. So here, when an institution, when registering the system, sends a request to one of the administrator, but the administrator at this point call for a vote and collecting votes from other administrator. If the majority approves, then the administrator accepts the registration of such institution, and that institution will be part of this system also. After a transplantation committee is formed, as I told you, like the one particular task of administrator would be specifying some transplantation committee, choosing some expert to be part of this committee. After a transplantation committee is formed, what they do, they specify the priorities utilized by the matching algorithm executed in this module, through this module. When a patient or donor register in the system, and also they provide some examination records indicating the patient or this donor will be eligible for organ donation, then the administrator execute this matching algorithm on the records they provide to find some fitting match based on the priorities the corresponding committee actually provides. If the algorithm finds a match, then the required information about this matching donor and recipient provided to the corresponding committee, and the corresponding committee at that point review the match. If the committee approves, then the system will ask the consent of both donor and recipients. If they say okay, then the system, and then if they say okay, then the administrator inform the network about it. Okay, and we can maybe move to the next phase, or we can deal with the next module for the particular case. After the matching process, we come to organ transplantation module. After the matching organ matching process, then transplantation committee specify a surgeon. This surgeon should be qualified, of course, to perform such surgery. And also transplantation committee finds a suitable at the medical institution for the surgery. Once the surgeon and medical institution actually inform, then they execute the surgery and report the records about the surgery to the platform through organ transplantation module. After the transplantation, the transplantation committee specify some eligible doctors. This doctor will be monitoring the condition of the donor and the recipient after the transplantation, and provides the required reports to the module again. And here we use this data to improve the matching algorithm, and maybe to improve the specification the transplantation committee provides at the beginning. So here, finally, we have data recording module. So similar to other the blockchain-based solution, we consider here time as divided into segments. And for each segment, we assign a particular administrator as the leader for that particular segment, and all the information share, or all the transactions share in this platform collected by this leader. And this leader creates a block and provides this block to the other administrator, and they approve. And after the approval of this newly created block, they just append it to the chain of the blocks using a cryptographic hash function.
So, sorry to interrupt. You were left with last 2 minutes. Could you please conclude?
Okay, maybe I briefly just explain the requirements. This part also somehow important. This diagram, I put here 4 different the part of the diagram, sorry, to make you clearly see what we have here. This diagram showing the requirements for our system, and for each requirement, as you see here, there is a particular the module actually will be responsible to meet that requirement. For the registration, as you see here, we have 3 requirements: authentication, data verification, and data confidentiality. So what is authentication? At the beginning, as I told you, like this is a life critical system, right? So the surgeon or doctor or any institution officer, when they register in the system, they need to provide some certificates. So we need to authenticate them to make them be part of our system. And data confidentiality. So this is the critical issue here also. Like we process some cryptographic algorithm, some encryption algorithm, because this is a transparent system, since we are using blockchain here, to provide data confidentiality. So we need to do that. Remember, so when an organ, when a donor or recipient register in the system, we need to examine them. We need to create some records about them. We need to put these records to the database, to the blockchain, right? So while doing this one, we need to use some cryptographic primitive encryption algorithm to provide data confidentiality. And at the same time, we need to verify this data or this data should be verified by the committee member to be able to make them part of our blockchain. And in the next module, we have our organ matching module. So we have 3 corresponding also requirements. Transparency of matching process. This is the critical part also. While executing this one, everybody can easily validate the result of this matching algorithm. So we need to provide that. And validation of matching also should be part of this requirement list. And we also said that like all the matching results should be validated before the execution of this surgery, should be validated by the committee member. This is also should be satisfied by this module. And the last one, specification of matching priorities. This specification should be provided by committee member to the matching algorithm. So in a way that like this matching algorithm maybe provides the correct match. And the next requirement would be specification of surgeons and medical institution, and it's satisfied by organ transplantation module. And the next one, identifying doctors for post-transplantation periods. The relevant doctor should be, or institution should be identified. That's also another requirement. And the requirement directly related to data recording. The leanness, you can say, the data shared in this platform should be periodically collected and appended to the as a block, appended to the ledger or chain of the blocks. And we titled it as liveness. And another one, data immutability. Whatever we put into database, into blockchain, should be kept in an immutable way. And also it should be provided for ideal system. Thank you for giving me chance to explain this one. As I told you, this is some initial the framework, actually. We are working on this project, by the way, in Ankara University. Our team, together with some surgeon, he's got kind of expert on surgery, an expert, a specialist in that field, and probably in a week, in average, 5 surgery he executes. So he's kind of expert guy for us, providing useful information for us to improve our system. And we are also talking to the relevant officer handling or maintaining organ transplantation in our university hospital. We are also communicating with them to improve this framework. Thank you again, guys, giving me this chance.
Thank you. Thank you so much for
Any
your
question?
wonderful presentation. Thank you so much. Ma'am, you have any questions? Hello, am I audible?
Hello. Yes. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. It was really nice, and I had a lot of it enhanced my knowledge on this. I just have a small query about how it can enhance the patient's experience. I'm not able to hear you. Doctor, I think you are muted.
Yeah, actually, he's
Okay.
mute.
So we haven't talked to any patients experiencing such process, but we are planning to do that. But before that, actually, we need to handle how we for the first version of this project, this platform. how we build that one. So it's really hard to communicate this surgeon and maybe the officer. They're really busy. That's the reason actually we couldn't improve too much our framework or this platform. And also, I don't know, for the ethical, maybe it could be some ethical issue, like how we find the donor or recipient. But we talk about it, but maybe in the queue. So first we need to handle first primitive version of this one. We need to improve this one. So we need to first talk to the experts, the surgeon and other officers to understand the details. We just maybe gathered 2 or 3 times, and out of that, the meetings we achieved to build this version. But first, we're planning to improve this one. But I note that also. Thank you for reminding me. So that issue, maybe we need to also reconsider talking to the patients.
Yeah. Thank you.
get
It'll be really good because if you involve the patients, then we can know even their experience in terms of the blockchain system and how it will help them. Thank you, doctor. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you again for the suggestion.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your question. Sir, you have any questions? Richard, sir, are you there? Okay. Thank
Okay,
you, sir.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your
It
presentation.
was a pleasure to be here. Thank you again. Have a nice day.
Moving on to the next presentation, I would like to invite Mikhailo to present his paper on determining the physiological cost of a military serviceman's activity in the field of using innovative miniature devices and advanced ECG analysis, different scenarios.
Yes,
Could you
I'm
please proceed with your presentation, dear presenter?
good. Good day. Okay. My presentation.
Yes, it's visible. Yeah, we can see.
Yes. And good day to present. I'm Mikhail Bocharov. I'm Colonel of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, PhD in the field of military sciences. I will present the result of long-term cooperation between the National Defense University of Ukraine and the institutes of the National Academy of Science of Ukraine. The condition, do you see the presentation? The condition of the Russian-Ukrainian war are gradually changing. The augmentation in losses of our troops increases in the importance of monitoring the moral and physiological qualities of Ukrainian defenders in combat conditions. The component on functional state is often used to characterize the general state of human health. Between the components of the psychological readiness of the servicemen to perform combat tasks, the functional component has the great applied importance. The most accurate definition of functional state for us is the level of functional reserve that can be used for adaptation of difficult conditions. Of course, over time, in difficult conditions, a person's functional state deteriorates, and his reserve of adaptive capabilities decreases. This reduction of the reserve should be considered the physiological cost of ability, of activity, I'm sorry. All scenarios of the monitoring that we carry out are to a large extent a type of pre-hospital diagnosis. Therefore, the search for optimal approaches to assessing the physiological cost of servicemen's activities is in the field should be considered an urgent task of war. The general approach to monitoring the moral and physiological abilities of military personnel was developed as early as World War II and refined during the Vietnam War. As we can see, according to the degree of deterioration of the functional state, the responsibility for the correction of psychological health gradually shifts from the commanders to the medical specialist of the unit. In the research in different combat conditions, we used variable on-body electrocardiographic patch devices, as well as miniature electrocardiographic devices with finger electrodes. When analyzing the device's data, the principle of multilateral analysis was implemented. This made it possible to obtain a physiologically based complex index of the functional state, which was formed on the basis of estimates of heart rate variability, waveforms and intervals of the electrocardiogram, as well as an index of psycho-emotional state formed according to the modified McCartney algorithm. The result of the study of each person is a conclusion about the adaptation reserve, the scope and nature of the measures necessary to preserve health. This scale is divided into 4 ranges: norm, adaptation stress, unsatisfactory adaptation, adaptation disorder. A similar division is used in NATO armies to assess mental health. All devices for field electrocardiographic analysis and software have national or European certificates. As you can see on the screen, the physiological cost of military personnel performing different functional can be different. The miniature electrocardiographic devices in combination with modern analytical platform provide an opportunity to monitor important physiological parameters directly during the performance of duties of various nature. Therefore, to quickly and dynamically assess the functional ability and physiological cost of person's activity. On the screen, you can see the amplitude of the generalized values indicator of functional reserve and an example of visualization of relevant integral indicators, medical conclusions, which are generated by local software. The objective stratification of the functional reserve of servicemen makes it possible to predict the success of the combat activity of both the unit and the specialist who determining combat capability. They can be platoon or unit commanders, drivers, operators, or gunners. The proposed methodology can be considered as a tool for determining the ability of military personnel to perform combat tasks and forming groups of servicemen who need supervision or emergency assistance. The sensitivity of the developed monitoring system is good enough to detect the changes in the functional state in different scenarios under the field condition and permanent deployment point. We are sincerely grateful to all participants in military and civil collaboration. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your presentation. Ma'am, you have any questions?
Thank you for the presentation. It was really interesting. I would like to know, did you make any observation in terms of limitation that is used from the traditional ECG diagnose to the wearable miniature device which you're talking about? Did you find any limitation from the traditional to the new wearable device?
So you are on mute. We can't hear you.
Excuse me?
We can hear you now.
We use just single. We use just single single it. I'm so question. Please repeat the question, please.
I just want to know, did you make any observation on limitation of the miniature device when compared to the traditional ECG device?
Excuse me, with me, it's your question is hard for me. With me, my leader and scientific leader, our scientific group, Tchaikovsky Ilya Anatolyevich. Excuse me.
No problem, no problem.
Hello.
Thank you.
Hello to everyone. Yes, the basic essence to reply your question is that we use for that application, for that scenario, just a single lead electrocardiogram. It means with all limitations which are typical for single lead ECG analysis. Therefore, we don't diagnose with that the local myocardium damage, for instance, ischemia, or etc., etc. This is a analysis of functional state of person, not the concrete disease. Hopefully you got it.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Thank you, ma'am. So you have any questions, Richard, sir? Are you here? Okay, I guess. he's
We
not
have
here.
no question. We have no question.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Moving on to the next presentation, I would like to invite Pei to present his paper on early detection of sepsis utilizing self-guided generative adversarial network. Dear presenter, could you please proceed with your presentation? Okay, moving on to our next presentation. I would like to invite Zhuang to present his paper on enterprise intelligent management analysis and visualization based on data mining. Dear presenter, could you please proceed with your presentation? Moving on to our next presentation.
I think present. Yeah. Valeria, I think you're here.
Yeah, Valeria is here. So, yes. I would like to move on to the next presentation. I would like to invite Valeria Angelica to present her paper on predictive analysis model to improve the control of eating disorders in adolescents in metropolitan Lima based on machine learning. Dear presenter, could you please proceed with your presentation?
Good morning, of course. Give me a second to share the screen. Excuse me, can you see the screen? The slide, sorry.
Yes, it's visible. You may please proceed.
Okay. Well, for start, good morning for everyone. In this opportunity, we'll present well, my project is called Predictive Analysis Model to improve the control of eating disorders in adolescents in metropolitan Lima based on machine learning. That was made by my colleagues, Jeffrey Weiss Molina and me, Valeria Castillo. Well, first start to present our background information. About the background, we have the author Yelitsa, who presents the use of social media and body image disorder. On the other hand, we have the author Forrest, who presents a machine learning approach to predict mental health increases. Another author from whom we get information is Schilder, who mentions the relationship between perfectionism and eating disorders. Finally, the author Goyal proposed a machine learning model to identify binge eating episodes related to eating disorders. So we base our this information to include it in our project like a point of start. So we present that in our environment exists a problematic that we identified to propose this in our university. So we identified a complexity of detecting eating disorders in a large number of adolescents in Metropolitan Lima during the COVID-19 health emergency to the present day. For start with the project, we during the project planning stage, we set objective for its proper advancement and to achieve the expected results. We began with a definition of our overall objective, with the development of the predict analysis model based on machine learning and the ED3 assessment method to predict eating disorders, or ED. Well, we are focusing adolescents, but our target audience are the specialists in psychology. Secondly, we define 4 specific objectives that encompass the 4 phases of our project. For the first objective, we identify various methodologies and technologies that could contribute to the purpose model. So we use a specific technique that would help us to identify which technologies or methodologies we can use to give better results using machine learning. In the second part of our project, we specified the objective 2, that was the part of the design. So we designed a proposed model based on machine learning and ED3 evaluation method with the methodologies and technologies that we select in the first part. And the third specific objective, we have a part of the validation. So we validate the functionality of the proposed model through the development of the web applications. And after that, we have secondly some tests that execute predetermined subjects. So we have some specific indicators that let us know that we have better results. We will present in our next slides. And finally, we have the specific objective 4. So in this part, we developed a continuity plan for the diagnostic model. So if we define some contingency and maintenance actions for the proposed model. So for the specific objective 1 that we defined, we use the technique of benchmarking. So we present 3 benchmarking and comparing machine learning algorithms, called services, and predict models. For the first benchmarking, we compare the machine learning algorithms, and we concluded use random forest, thinking about, for example, the algorithm with the highest amount of available information that we have on the internet, and the prediction rates that in other studies, and the success cases. Well, we apply the same comparison method for cloud services. So we consider cost, accessibility for students like us, because in our university give us some credits that we can use to train our machine learning. So we ultimately obtain for Microsoft Azure services. Lastly, for this project, we use linear learn study as a guide, so which employed a similar. This author employed a similar approach that we could use for a starting point for the project. Because we had no enough information to start, so they give us enough information to start our project in the next steps. So we have the physical architecture that emphasizes the objective 2, and we separate in 3 layers. Regarding this physical architecture, this process begins and at the presentation layer, where the psychologists using a device and an internet connection will be able to connect to the web application, where front end with a composed HTML, and CSS. Moving on the services layer, the predictive analysis model composed of Python and Django will be found, in addition to the Azure services, where Azure Machine Learning, Azure Databricks, Azure Functions, and Azure Confidential Computing will be utilized. Finally, in the data layer, we use the Azure Cloud Database, where we locate all the information that will be generated with a web application. At the same time, we have the logical architecture. So in this part, we'll commence with the psychologists and the web browser, where patient assistance will be provided, involving the psychologist, the patient, and the psychological intervention. So the information collected during the psychological intervention will need to be processed through the Azure Machine Learning before being stored in the database to obtain the patient outcome. Finally, we have the enterprise architecture that involve all the already mentioned, but have more definitely some components. So we define in three layers: the business layer, application layer, and technology layer. For the first layer of architecture showcases the everyday flow of a cloud consultation conducted by a specialist, starting from the moment of logging into the web application to the utilization of our predict model and the visualization of the results that we will provide to patients alongside their diagnosis. In this part of the application layer, show us the models that compose the web applications that involve the predictive model. So to experience to the user, we present this application, web application, where it's including the predictive model. So the web application have models, as you can see, the safety model that involves the log off, the modified account, registered users. Next, then we have session model, that we have the registered patient, the session, and the new patient evaluation. For the third model, we have the prediction model, that it's the most important model of the web application, that include the recorded questionnaire responses, the collected questionnaire data, the processing, and then analyze to give to our users and stakeholders the results that he's waiting for. After that, we have some of the views that specialists will encounter during the interaction with the application, such as the profile, login, patient list, and the patient evaluation section, which we capture with their habits to be analyzed by the predictive model. We can also observe the development applications that were used for application development that I already mentioned in the previously architecture. For the final layer, we can visualize the network connections with cloud services and the database for storing the information generated during the use of application. Additionally, it can be observed that access method through a device that allows internet access, such as a computer. And only the same specialists in psychology we have access given the sensitive nature of the information requiring responsible handling. So we are working with information that is for the patients and their results if they have or not an eating disorder. So we know that are sensitive information. Well, we know that part of presenting our predictive model, we have a part of validation. So during this part, the validation stage of our model, we obtain favorable results that reflect the effectiveness of our proposal, starting with a predicted percentage of 92.27%, percent that demonstrates the reliability of our model compared to other studies. On the other hand, we calculate the Cronbach alpha. So it means that with the Cronbach alpha, which allow us to access to reliability of the ED3 in capturing the hereditary partners, resulting in 0.7. We also evaluate the correlations between fields evaluated by ED3 to identify the most triggering factors of the development of an eating disorder, with the obsession of thinness being the most common pattern among the young individuals. We have another results. For example, continuing with this part of the validation phase, we have the area of C-curve graphs that are confusing matrix generated by Azure machine learning environment after training. Well, this provides us with the following results: true positive rate in 79.63%, the true negative rate is 96.80%, the false positive rate is 3.20%, and lastly, the false negative rate is 20.37%. For this part, we present our general flow. So in this, we reflect our objective tree, and we have start to the access to the web application that we call Minded. Secondly, we have the menu that is one of the view of the psychologist. And to continue with this flow, we have to log into the patient list. Secondly, he can see the list of patients and can add a new patient and include completing the data in the request fields. Secondly, we have the start evaluation test that include a predictive model. So in this part, the psychologist enter the data of a new session. Once the start button is clicked, the evaluation will start. So he can select the specific patient that he could evaluate. So in this part, this patient start answer all the questions that we present in screen. And when he ends, the psychologist could see the results entering the history and select a specific patient and select the last available session to visualize the results. So he, in these screens, he can see the general analysis and ED analysis. So we will present a demo to specify the flow. So in this part, we can see one of the part of the flow that he can see the history and the results. So in this part, we could see the graphics and the number results, the meaning that he are not in danger to develop an eating disorder. So continue with this presentation and to continue to the stage of validation, the last stage of validation. We have the interviews were carried out the specialist psychologists, where the application and the results generated were present. After observing, the specialists mentioned their satisfaction with the results, how to project could help them in their routines with their patients. After conducting the interviews with specialist psychologists, a survey was conducted to capture user experience through 12 questions distributed across 5 dimensions, allows to gauge the opinion and validating of our model. So we have these dimensions that are usability, satisfaction, effectiveness, accessibility, and security. The results reveal that psychologists recognize the need of our tool that reduces human error and allows them to develop evaluation of patients from more technologically advancement perspective to contribute to mental health here in Peru. So they showed interested in using this application and proposed ideas to future the project. The contribution of the predictive analysis model based on machine learning will be to enhance the speed of diagnosis in eating disorder, as the result will be immediate, thus reducing the complexity in the chronic treatment of patients. Furthermore, the test based on the inventory of ED3 patient will be conducted on an early stage of illness, improving the options for treatment and indicated by psychologists. To conclude, in this study, we have various analyses where conduct to interpret the thoughts and behaviors on adolescents that could help identify these eating disorders based on the habits of the different patients. So through training and this machine learning model using the services of Microsoft Azure, with a database generated for the eater inventory, effective and optimized results were obtained. Additionally, validate using the Cronbridge Alpha configured to yield a final score of 0.7. So this indicates a reliable assessment, and meetings with experts, specialists, and the psychology field provide online with the performance and results. So this study suggests a room for changes the ED database with more information through collaboration with academic institutions. This approach could lead to improved predictive model metrics, potentially achieve an effective rate above of 19.27%. Thank you for attention.
Thank you for your presentation. Ma'am, you have any questions?
No, thank you. Actually, it was a very interesting and very, what to say, a trendy topic, which is definitely needed looking into the current scenario on eating habits. I think your future direction to study is really very good to include the universities and stakeholders. It would be nice if you can test this even for among the teenagers, especially the school goers. It's very important because that is the place where you can find the disorder habits begin with. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your presentation. Now, I would like to invite Nazreen to present her paper on Toward a Classification of Factors Influencing E-Worm in Online Shopping through a Systematic Literature Review. Dear presenter,
Hello, everyone.
Could you please proceed with your presentation, please?
Okay. Can you see my presentation?
Yes.
Yes, we can see.
Okay. So, greetings, everyone. I'm Nisreen Benhamou, a PhD student at Hassan First University of Satat in Morocco, and I'm presenting today on behalf of my esteemed co-authors, Khawla Zouani, Professor Habiba bin Sasinour, and Professor Yusuf Makloul, our work, which is titled Toward the Classification of Factors Influencing Even Online Shopping Through Systematic Literature Review. So our presentation plan is as follows. So an introduction, electronic word of mouth, methodology and results, and finally a conclusion, limits and implications. So the rise of social media and the internet have drastically changed the way consumers interact with brands. They have become more active consumers who are also more likely to provide feedback and recommendations. And this interaction is referred to as e-worm or electronic word of mouth, and it is one of the most vital sources of information for online shopping, actually. So the purpose of our study is to review the literature on the various factors that influence e-worm through a systematic literature review of current research between 2010 and 2022. And it aims to identify the multiple antecedents and attributes for this interaction and to classify them based on their nature into two main categories. And it also aims to provide a conceptual model project proposal based on our results and classification of those antecedents and their attributes for a future potential corporates and either academic research on this subject. So before talking about e-womb, we need a distinction between the traditional word-of-mouth womb and the electronic word-of-mouth e-womb. So the traditional word-of-mouth occurs in face-to-face conversations between individuals, usually friends, relatives, or acquaintances, while the e-womb or the electronic word-of-mouth refers to online comments made by potential, current, or either former customers about products or companies, of course. So the e-womb differs from the traditional womb in the communication channel. So while the traditional womb is a simultaneous conversation between the sender and a receiver, the electronic word of mouth can be one-way and asynchronous, with reviews, of course, posted online, accessible to a wide audience. And additionally, unlike traditional word of mouth, the electronic one is often anonymous and involves individuals who do not know each other. So,
Excuse me, can you please,
yes?
excuse me, can you please move on your slides also simultaneously?
Yes, I didn't finish from this slide. This is why. I'm still talking about the electronic word of mouth.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, do you see my slide on e-womb, right?
No, we are able to see still the first slide only, the introduction, no?
Really?
You have title, yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, but I'm seeing the second. Wait. Okay. And now, no, just a second. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay,
Thank
sorry. So I was saying that previous studies suggested that the e-womb has an impact on consumer behavior and heavily influencing the purchasing decisions and shaping consumer attitudes and perceptions due to its perceived credibility over company-provided information. So consumers place a high credibility on online reviews and the sharing of experiences among buyers, and this is more valuable than information which is provided by companies themselves. So yes, I forgot. Yes, okay. So it is also suggested that consumers who have confidence on internet consider that the information provided is very effective and credible, and it is important for consumers that other buyers share their experiences, which is for them more productive than when it's the organization that provides this information. So for our systematic literature review, the methodology applied is one suggested by Denier and Trenfield, which is based on the following steps. Step 1, research question formulation. Step 2, locating studies related to the research question. Step 3, studies selection and evaluation. Step 4, analysis and synthesis. Step 5, reporting and using the results. So for our systematic literature review, our research question is formulated as follows. What are the antecedents and attributes that influence e-womb in online shopping? For our systematic literature review, we explored during our research the Scopus and Web of Science databases, as well as several publishing houses, including Emerald, Elsevier, Springer, SoftDirect, Taylor and Francis, SAFE, for which we use the keywords such as e-womb, antecedents of e-womb, determinants of e-womb, e-womb factors, e-womb influencers, e-womb in online shopping. And once we downloaded all the papers were imported into the Zotero software with the elimination, of course, of duplicate ones. So we set up inclusion and exclusion criteria relating to the paper's date of publication. So we have here chosen to examine and evaluate the papers published over the period of the last 12 years, from 2010 to 2022, to be in line with the recent publications and results on this subject, given, of course, the speed of technological advance and scientific research as well in this field. The second criteria is the paper's language. So we selected the papers written in French and English, given our mastery of both languages. Then the paper subject. We have retained the papers relating to the antecedents and attributes of the e-womb in accordance with our research question. And finally, the paper's field of studies. We have opted for papers relating to online shopping, still in accordance with our research question. So then our inclusion and exclusion criteria are presented in the following table 1. And in the previous step, we downloaded an important filter software, a total of 50 papers that we examined, and to which we applied those inclusion and exclusion criteria. And at the end of this stage, 36 papers were eliminated, and only 14 were retained for the next stage of analysis. So after gathering the appropriate papers from relevant sources according to our selection criteria, the next step is data analysis and synthesis. As a part of the research question formulated for our systematic literature review, all the antecedents and attributes of e-womb and their conceptual models have been identified and synthesized as follows, as you can see in the table 2. Then, the antecedents and attributes of e-womb that were mentioned twice or more on the selected papers were summarized in this table 3. So we had the repetition frequencies of those antecedents and attributes. And before the step of classifying the antecedents and the attributes of e-womb, we examined all their definitions in the literature, and the antecedents and attributes that have the same definition have been grouped under the same antecedent and attributes name. So then we proceeded to the categorization into 2 categories, namely, we have the attributes relating to the individual and those relating to information. So the first include 3 subcategories, including the attributes of the communicator, which are source credibility and satisfaction. Those relate to the receiver, which are trust and internet user experience. And finally, the attributes resulting from the interaction between the communicator and the receiver, which are tie strength, homophily, and the degree of influence. And the second category of attributes is related to the information. It includes the balance of information, the volume of information, the quality of the information, and finally the quality of the message. So the figure 1 represents a conceptual model project proposal of antecedents and attributes influencing e-womb in online shopping, which is based on the previous classification for, of course, potential future avenues of research in this subject. Okay, so through our systematic literature review, we were able to synthesize the attributes and factors influencing e-womb that have been mentioned in the marketing literature into 2 categories. The first relating to the individual, namely the communicator, the receiver, and the interaction between the 2. And the second category relates to the information. And we have proposed through our study a conceptual model project proposal based on our results of categorization for potential future avenues of research in the subject. And as any research, our research has certain limitations that should be noted. So the first limitation is the specific context of the study. So we have identified attributes and factors that influence the e-womb in an online shopping context without specifying whether they are products or services, and which online shopping field it is. So we can wonder here if these results can be generalized in the field of clothing, for example, cosmetics, technology tools, e-learning, platform, etc. And the second limitation lies in the country of the study. So the attributes and factors that influence event may not be similar in between two different countries, and this precision could provide more specific and insightful results. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your presentation. Ma'am, any questions?
Yes, thank you for your presentation. It was really good and it's very interesting topic. I just have two questions. Can you talk about the software that you have used to analyze your systematic literature review? This is first thing. And second thing is, how did you categorize the variables or the factors related to online shopping? It was
Could you
from the
please repeat
software?
the first question, please?
Yes. Can you talk about the software that you have used for doing your systematic literature review?
The what? Sorry, I can't hear you.
You said you have used some software to conduct your systematic
Software.
literature.
Okay.
So how did it help?
Yes, of course. So for our systematic literature review, we use the Zotero software. So here we downloaded all the papers and we imported all the papers on the Zotero, and then it helped us to eliminate the duplicate papers that were imported, because we can find many papers. The same papers published in 2 or 3 different publishing houses. So this Zotero helped us to, of course, to import our papers and to eliminate the ones which are duplicates.
Okay. Second thing is, how did you categorize? Did this software help you to categorize the factors that you are talking about related to online shopping, or you did it manually?
No, we did it manually. The software didn't help us in this analyze. We did it manually. So as I said, we had like we mentioned all the attributes that were mentioned twice or more, and then we did it manually. And then our added value is that we categorize those attributes into categories, as I said, relating to the individual, and then relating to the information. But it was done manually.
Okay, thank you. In future, I just give one suggestion. You can use a bibliometric analysis software through RStudio, which will help you to categorize and also define the themes which you have collected as a database from Web of Science. Okay?
Okay, through RStudio, right?
Yeah, it is a bibliometric analysis with the help of RStudio, which we call BibloShiny.
Okay, thank you so much for your questions
saves
and
your
for your
time.
remarks.
It
Thank you
saves
so
your
much.
time, and you can have more visualized effect of your data that you have collected. It's really wonderful. You just look into it.
Okay, thank you. It's good to know. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Thank you, ma'am, for your valuable suggestion as well. So I would like to call Fei to present his paper on early detection of sepsis utilizing self-guided generative adversarial network. Dear presenter, are you here? Okay. Moving on to the next presenter, Zhuang, to present his paper on enterprise intelligent management analysis and visualization based on data mining. Dear presenter, are you here? Okay. So this brings us to the end of our presentations. Ma'am, now I would like you to have some valuable remarks to all our participants for their wonderful presentation. Any remarks for them? Roxana, ma'am?
No, thank you. I think when I was asking during question answer session itself, I have added some question and I've made some suggestion, but overall it was a wonderful presentation. Each one's paper was very unique and different. It was really an eye-opening to understand certain concepts which I myself did not understand. Thank you so much for enlightening me with new knowledge and thoughts. Maybe in future I may incorporate certain ideas and thoughts which were shared here. Thank you to the presenters, to the organizers, and the co-host, Dr. Richard. And thank you, Aarti, for moderating this session. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
ma'am. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, ma'am. Thank you for your words. So I sincerely thank our authors for their excellent presentations and contribution in this session, and all our participants for being a part of this international conference. I hope this session was informative enough. We, on behalf of the whole team, thank you for your support in this 9th version and all the previous 8 version of the conference. We're happy to have you in the 10th version as well in 2025. All the presenters would be getting their digital certificates through email within 2 working days. And further, all the papers have been already forwarded to Springer. The publication will be live within 6 months. Kindly cooperate with the team of ICICT 2024. I would like to thank our session chair, Professor Roxana Banu, for chairing the session. A token of appreciation to the chair on behalf of the team ICICT 2024 and Global Knowledge Research Foundation and partners. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your valuable presence. Now, I would kindly request all of you to please switch on your cameras for a quick snapshot of the virtual conference. I would request everyone to please switch on your camera. Thank you. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Stay safe. Take care. Bye-bye.